Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. I am Joyo19 and today I'm going to be doing a video in regards to Robert F. Kennedy's recently announced independent campaign. He is split from the Democratic Party after polls show that he would not win the primary and is instead now running an independent campaign that looks to provide moderate voters a safe haven between Trump or Biden. I'm going to be doing a few different scenarios as to whether he will in fact hurt Trump or Biden and seeing the electoral ramifications of such a process. I will talk about which one I think is more likely, and I will talk about a scenario which results in him not affecting either, which is also possible, and what effects that could have. I didn't cover this in my big week video because I want to spend a bit more time on it and be a bit more focused in regards to the true ramifications and effects of his campaign, and I'm also going to be utilizing for the first time in a while yet another political map simulator, so I wanted this to be a very focused video. But with that, let's begin. So, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is running as an independent for president in the 2024 United States presidential election. I'm on the ABC News article here in regards to whether he will in fact spoil the election for Biden or Trump. The current polling suggests that he will be the most successful third-party candidate since Ross Perot. That is 1996. What is that? That's 28 years next year. So that's going to be very interesting to see what effect that could have. So his candidacy comes during the unpopular presidency of Joe Biden. And it comes after the revelations that occurred in regards to Trump's legal cases, several legal battles in regards to his indictments, and a number of issues, particularly the Stormy Daniels case and in regards to the 2020 election. That has disenfranchised a lot of conservative voters who don't appreciate that kind of rhetoric anymore, and it also doesn't appeal to Democrats, moderates, and swing voters, because generally speaking, you don't want your president to be running in the midst of a number of legal battles. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I have spoken about several times in the past. I won't go into too much of his policies, and I won't talk about his general appeal. If you'd like to do that, please be sure to check out my candidate spotlight video of him. I go over all of his characteristics and all of his appeals, his demographic, his base, and why they are generally consistent with supporting him. I'll put that in the link in the description below. But from the polling that we've seen, generally it suggests that on a national scale, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is receiving about 12 to 16% of the primary vote. That's very interesting. What we saw from the Democratic primary was that he was receiving, usually it was around about 8 to 10% of the primary vote in that case against people like Marianne Williamson or, of course, President Joe Biden. Now, there was never going to be a debate for the Democratic primary. That would do considerable harm to Biden's solidarity, but what it does show is that Robert F. Kennedy's significance in the campaign is stronger than that of any other primary challengers in a number of years. Now, if we just look down here at the summary, we can see that ABC News has made some objective points about the campaign and how they've responded to Kennedy's independent candidacy. We can see down here that a spokesperson for the former president, Donald Trump, said that voters should not be deceived by anyone who pretends to have conservative values. That's an interestingly hawkish answer, in my opinion. I would not have been expecting the Trump campaign to make such a critical review. I would have expected a more niche answer, perhaps something along the lines of, Kennedy may call himself a conservative, but if you'd like a true patriot, vote for Trump. And that would have been something a bit more mild, something to toe the line between moderate and conservative voters. So I was surprised by this answer. But then we also have down here a co-founder of the centre-left group Third Way, I won't comment on that, claiming that our take on it is that anything divides the anti-Trump coalition is bad. That is a crucial part of the campaign. Let's track down that statement. He's talking about the critical opportunity that Robert F. Kennedy has to split the anti-Trump vote. That would usually go to Biden, right? All of them, if they're so opposed to Trump, they'd usually go and support the Democrats. But in this case, as a result of the incumbent Biden's unpopularity, he is significantly in a worse position. And now Kennedy has the opportunity to steal away votes who aren't going to be voting for Biden and go with a fresh new approach. That is a valid concern from this co-founder. Now, there is one final statement that I'm going to take from this summary introduction, which is here. But at the end of the day, his impact on the presidential race is probably being overstated. I generally tend to agree with that, considering that the current polling is already suggesting that Kennedy is not really going to have an impact. They're talking about noise being a factor in the presidential polling. If you look at it, Kennedy's only really giving a marginal push to President Trump, and that's not something that can really do much. But in the critical race that's occurring right now, and just how close it is at the current polling, it could be something. It could generally do something. He could generally have an impact in a hypothetical three-way race. As we can see down here, the news article goes on to talk about the three different events that could occur. It could hurt the Democrats, it could hurt the Republicans, or it might not be a big factor at all. So, which one do I think is the most likely? Well, I've done a bit of research, and from what I can see here, I am going to say that on a general level, I think Kennedy's campaign is going to hurt the Democrats. The reason that I think this is because a lot of the anti-Trump coalition, so to speak, a great deal of them are unfavorable towards Biden. And for that reason, I think that they will be more likely to go to Robert F. Kennedy, thereby splitting the Democratic vote and splitting the anti-Trump vote, and instead helping Trump as a result. Now, this, I think, is going to be very minuscule, generally speaking. I don't see Kennedy getting anywhere above, in my opinion, 5% of the national vote. I think that's probably what we'll see from him. But if that is the case, even that can have a drastic impact on the overall swing. Let's say that 55% of anti-Trump but Biden voters go for Kennedy, and 45% of anti-Trump Republicans go for Kennedy. That still leaves a 0.1 margin towards Trump. That will help him out in crucial swing states, such as Nevada. It could easily swing that state towards Trump. Arizona, again, extremely marginal, with a lot of anti-Trump voters. Wisconsin, again, similar case. Georgia, same as Arizona. And then North Carolina, the one state that I've recently or previously depicted as going to Democrats at the rate of the current polling, could be in jeopardy as well. If we look at this data, we can see that a potential Robert F. Kennedy campaign could hurt the Democrats. But what if we look at it from the other perspective? What if we say that Biden's unpopularity as an incumbent is being overstated? What if he has an impact, but against the Republicans? Well, we could see a shift to Wisconsin. We could see a shift in Nevada, and already they've won. Same in Arizona, same in Georgia, and of course, North Carolina. Now, this is a best case scenario for Democrats here, in my opinion. But if you look at it, the polling is already backing it up. All Kennedy needs to do is come in and push the tide over the edge, and he could do it. Now, with this in mind, I will say that I think this is an unlikely event. As I've said, I do think that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is generally going to hurt the Democrats, more so than help them. But if his campaign pulls from both sides fairly equally, or if his campaign is insignificant or not significant at all, then what could the polling look like? What could the outcome, what could the result look like, considering that he hasn't done any damage to either? Well, current polling suggests that President Biden's popularity is rising, slowly but surely. About since July last year, it's been slowly creeping back up to that 50% margin. Now, it's been inconsistent, it's been slow, but generally speaking, especially now with the chaos that's unfolding in the House Republicans, they don't even have a speaker, it is improving. But that's not to say that it is peak, and that's not to say that it is great for Democrats. Generally speaking, in favorability alone, Kennedy tops both Trump and Biden. And Trump's favorability is still around the same, if not a little lower, than Biden, which is not a position that they want to be in at this time. So, my opinion is this. Nevada could be flipped. Again, this is without taking into account... Again, this is with Robert F. Kennedy's campaign being insignificant. Arizona could remain blue. Wisconsin could flip. Georgia could remain blue. North Carolina could remain blue. So that is kind of the result that I'm seeing that could happen. But again, this is without taking into account RFK's candidacy. I still believe that with him involved, this will be the result. It will help Republicans, generally speaking. So that is kind of what has to be taken into account here. The significance of the margin that Kennedy could pull from either side. If it's to the Democrats, it's a pretty fair majority. If it's to the Republicans, it's quite slim, but it is still over 270. So that is my prediction, and again, it's very early stages in his campaign. We didn't even know if he's going to be invited to the debates or what is going to go on in that regard. Polling is still very early. Remember, in the early stages of Ross Perot's candidacy, he was triple what George Bush had. He was double what Clinton had. He was polling at around about 60% at one stage, and then he dropped out, and then the chaos unfolded. It was kind of seen as surprising that he didn't even win a state on election night. So again, things can be misleading. But that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.